Hi, I'm Beth.
And I'm Aaron. This is Kitson Postcards.
Today, we are showing you the zippy way to see the coast on three wheels, the haunting hillside of a ghost village, and the massive rock tombs that look down over this vibrant beach town. We might even throw in a game or two along the way. But make sure you stay tuned to the very end as we head out of town to explore a completely different side of this region. Come along as we take you on this adventure.
After a few days of showing my parents our new home in Istanbul, we hopped on a plane for Fethiye. Fethiye is a Mediterranean beach town that has warm, sunny weather most of the year. We landed in Dalaman Airport, and since there is so much to see across the entire region, we decided to rent a car for the week. We ended up with a Citroen minivan from Ad Car Rental. Once I remembered how to drive a standard transmission, we started the hour-long drive to Fethiye.
With several hours to kill before our Airbnb check in, we headed to the Çalış promenade for a wander along the Mediterranean. The sea breeze definitely worked up an appetite, so we went in search of lunch. I had heard great reviews from several British retirees about a spot called Charcoal Palace, specifically that they served the best fish and chips in town. They weren't wrong, it was absolutely fabulous. Afterward, we kept the coastal vibes going with a scenic stroll through Fethiye's waterfront park.
We rented a villa through Airbnb, and our host Ahmet was great. We got this treehouse with the most secluded sanctuary around. Check out this infinity pool and these lemon trees. I even made some lemonade from those lemons. It turned out great if I do say so myself. We also had plenty of visitors from the neighborhood cats and chickens. We even had some goats on our first day.
The treehouse has two separate apartments, each equipped with a bedroom, kitchen, and bathroom, plus a rooftop deck with a hot tub. We spent every morning on top of the deck eating our breakfast and enjoying those fabulous mountain and bay views. Most mornings, we would grab some incredible bread from a local bakery. They make it fresh each morning in stone ovens. Pair that with some Turkish butter or olive oil, and it doesn't get any better. We also spent time on the deck playing Skyjo, one of our favorites. The sunsets from the deck were spectacular too, and we had bats. They are quick, but they are in this clip.
Our original plan was to rent tricycles like this to ride up and down the waterfront. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any available for rent. We were during the shoulder season, so it's possible that there are shops that do rent these during the peak summer season. But we ended up with a couple of these electric scooters instead. We rented them from AutoSpot, and they definitely took care of us. Not only did they give us a fantastic weekly rate, but they really proved their worth on night two. We ended up with a flat tire on one of the scooters. We reached out to them on WhatsApp. They responded very quickly, and in no time they sent a tech over it and we were back on the road. That kind of service is everything.
These scooters are a fabulous way to get around both Fethiye and Çalış. They have a wonderful bike path that extends from end to end. Pro tip, the only place the scooters are not allowed to use the bike path is through Shahit Fethi Bey Parka, or the Children's Park. But that's an easy detour on the side street that follows the park. These scooters have three different speed settings. First gear tops out at 10 kilometers per hour, second is 17, and third is 28. We mainly stuck to first and second, but we had a little fun popping it into third a couple times. Man, these things are zippy in third. Our host Ahmet provided and helped us set up an extension cord for nightly recharging.
Our trip did have one little hiccup early on. We still had an appointment with the Turkish immigration office in Istanbul. So we got up early in the morning, left my parents in Fethiye, and the two of us made a day trip back to Istanbul. Our flight was at 6:30 a.m. and our return flight was around noon. To learn more about that, see the link above. After we got back, the four of us went out for dinner at Summer Breeze. The calamari was amazing, and the sunset even better.
Since we had the rental car, we took a few day trips. We popped over to Oludeniz for the day to see the paragliders. It is really an amazing sight. It was so much fun, we decided this day deserved its own video. Check that out in the link above.
We also headed over to Kayaköy, often referred to as the ghost village of Turkey. It consists of hundreds of abandoned stone houses and two large Greek Orthodox churches that have remained desolate for over a century. The atmosphere there is heavy with history, as the village was once a thriving community before its inhabitants were displaced during the population exchange between Greece and Turkey in 1923.
Modern day Fethiye sits directly atop the ancient Lycian city of Telmosus, creating a unique landscape where 2,500-year-old Greek architectural remains are woven into the fabric of this bustling Mediterranean port. The city's most striking features are the rock tombs, which display a distinctly Greek aesthetic with its massive Ionic columns and temple front designs carved into the limestone cliffs. Near the harbor, the ancient theater serves as a prime example of Roman engineering. It remains one of the town's most visible links to its Greco Roman past. Beyond these grand structures, history is remarkably accessible in Fethiye, with sarcophagi from 500 BC sitting casually on the street corners.
We spent some time wandering the streets of Old Town Fethiye. This area is filled with plenty of tourist shops and restaurants. They also have a very unique fish market. The market is surrounded by several restaurants. You simply pick out the fresh fish you want and then select which restaurant you want to cook and serve it to you. Talk about fresh. This kitty is waiting for his taste.
Every morning, Aaron and I set out for long walks along the seaside, alternating between the shores of Çalış and Fethiye. There's something incredibly restorative about starting the day while the town is still asleep. The world feels so still and peaceful. On these mornings, the water mirrored the calm of the air, creating a stunning, glassy canvas. We're almost certain we caught the glimpse of a dolphin's tail diving beneath the surface. To top it off, we were lucky enough to witness the TCG Anadolu Turkish naval vessel cruising into port, arriving just in time for the local celebrations later that day.
April 23rd was National Sovereignty and Children's Day, and the celebrations in Fethiye were a stunning display of both national pride and international friendship. The parade was particularly vibrant this year, featuring groups of children not only from Turkey, but from around the world. We watched as kids dressed in traditional folk costumes from places like Northern Cyprus, Georgia, and Moldova carried their national flags with pride. By the time we reached Bishkaza Square, the atmosphere was electric. A sea of red-clad locals welcomed the visiting children with open arms. Between the vendor booths and the kids' games, the square felt like the center of the world for a few hours. It was the perfect documentation of one of Turkey's most cherished traditions, a day where history and the future truly come together. I also walked down the pier to get a closer look at the TGC Anadolu Warship that we saw cruise into the bay earlier that morning. They were giving tours of the entire vessel, but the line was quite long, so I just appreciated it from the outside. Instead, we went over to Nefis Pide for lunch. We enjoyed some pide and drinks along the marina on this beautiful sunny day.
We spent some time doing exactly what the locals do, settling in for a few rounds of games. Many of the cafes along the promenade come equipped with custom Okey tables. You'll recognize them by the extended corners for your tea. We hopped around a bit, but Marne was easily our favorite. That view was spectacular, and we ended up lingering until the sun dipped below the horizon. In Fethiye, the sunsets aren't just a daily occurrence, they're a full-blown show. Tavla, or backgammon, is another local obsession, and most cafes keep plenty of spare sets behind the counter. All you have to do is ask. We stopped at Gold Samovar for a few games and a couple of much-needed desserts. One thing you'll quickly notice in Turkey, if your tea glass has less than a half-inch left, it's fair game for the waiter. They are efficient. Poor Karen learned that the hard way. She definitely wasn't done with her tea yet.
We spent Sunday morning wandering the aisles of the Çalış market. It was very similar to the Sunday market we have back in our neighborhood in Istanbul. First stop, some tea in Gozleme. If you've never had it, think of it as a Turkish quesadilla. It's a market staple. The area is packed with temporary kitchens and stalls overflowing with fresh local produce, textiles, and even housewares. But the real tension was in the air because of the oncoming Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce showdown. Karen officially chose her side just in time for the match. Personally, I think she picked a winner.
The atmosphere at Marinette Cafe was thick with anticipation as the four of us joined the sea of fans gathered for the big match. The only spot we could find were the OK tables in the back. That was fine with us. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Hearing the thunderous roar of the fans when the Galatasaray team scored their first goal was pure adrenaline.
By Monday morning, we were packing up for a return flight to Istanbul. But with a late flight on the books, we decided to take the scenic route through Dalyan. But we skipped the boat tours through the straits this time, choosing instead to wander the promenade and admire the skyline. The real stars here are the King Tombs of Kaunos, these majestic temple-like facades carved right into the cliffs, standing guard over the river for over 2,400 years. They provided the perfect backdrop for our final Turkish tea of the trip before we made a break for the airport.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click that like button and hit subscribe and follow us on our next adventure as we take off towards Kazakhstan.
See you later.